We are aware of these conditions because we are aware of the dream state. Now, what about the exam? What does Seth say about the exam or the trial which has already been mentioned? Now, you may or may not be greeted by friends or relatives immediately following death. This is a personal matter, as always. Overall, you may be far more interested in people that you have known in past lives than those close to you in the present one, for example. So you could be met by someone that you had a deep relationship with in a previous life, rather than in the immediately present life that you're leaving. Your true feelings towards relatives who are also dead will be known to you and to them. There is no hypocrisy. You cannot pretend to love a parent who did little to earn your respect or love. Telepathy operates without distortion in this after-death period. So you must deal with the true relationships that exist between yourself and all relatives who await you. There's no getting away from it. It's better to heal these relationships now before we leave. Then there is a period of self-examination, a rendering of accounts, so to speak, in which they are able to view their entire performance, their abilities and weak points, and to decide whether or not they will return to physical existence. Any given individual may experience any of these stages, you see. Except for the self-examination, many may be sidestepped entirely. The only which cannot be sidestepped, the only part that cannot be dismissed, is the examination. In the Quran, it says, "And every man's fate we have fastened about his neck, and on the day of resurrection will we bring forth to him a book which shall be offered him wide open. Read thy book. There needeth none but yourself to make an account against yourself today." There's no other judge. We will judge ourselves. We will see what we have done, and in that light we will have clear consciousness, and we will see what we made, what mistakes we made, and what we did positively. I'd like to read to you two of the examples from Moody's subjects, how they experienced the exam, how they experienced this trial. "I first was out of my body above the building, and I could see my body lying there. Then I became aware of the light, just light, being all around me. Then it seemed that there was a display all around me, and everything in my life just went by for review, you might say. I was really very, very ashamed of a lot of the things that I experienced, because it seemed that I had a different knowledge now, as I'm watching this, that the light was showing me what was wrong. What I did was wrong, and it was very real. It seemed like this flashback or memory or whatever it was directed primarily at ascertaining the extent of my life. It was like there was a judgment being made, and then all of a sudden the light became dimmer, and there was a conversation, not in words but in thoughts. When I would see something, when I would experience a past event, it was like I was seeing it through the eyes with, I guess you could say, omnipotent knowledge, guiding me and helping me to see. The part that has stuck with me, because it showed me, this is the part that stuck with me, because it showed me not only what I had done, but even how what I had done had affected other people. So he's experiencing what the others were experiencing through his actions. And it wasn't like I was looking at a movie projector, because I could feel these things. There was feeling. And particularly since I was with this knowledge, I found out that not even your thoughts are lost. Every thought was there. Another example. When the light appeared, the first thing he said to me was, "What do you have to show me that you have done with your life?" Or something to this effect. And that's when these flashbacks started. I thought, gee, what is going on here? Because all of a sudden I was back in my childhood. And from then on, it was like I was walking through time of my very early life, through each year of my life, right up to the present. Now, I didn't actually see the light as I was going through the flashbacks. He disappeared as soon as he asked me what I had done, and the flashback started. And yet I know that he was there with me the whole time, that he carried me back through the flashbacks, because I felt his presence, and because he made comments here and there. He was trying to show me something in each one of the flashbacks. It's not like he was trying to see what I had done. He already knew. But he was picking out these flashbacks of my life and putting them in front of me so that I would have to recall them. All through this, he kept stressing the importance of love. The places where he showed it best involved my sister. I have always been very close to my sister. He showed me some instances where I had been selfish to her, but then just as many times where I had really shown love to her and shared with her. He pointed out to me that I should try to do things for other people, to try my best. There wasn't any accusation in all of this. I repeat this. There wasn't any accusation in any of this. When he came across many times when I had been selfish, his attitude was only that I had been learning from them also. So it's a learning process. He seemed very interested also in things concerning knowledge. He kept pointing out things that had to do with learning. And he did say that I was going to continue learning. And he said even when he comes back for me, because by this time he had told me I was going back, that there would always be a quest for knowledge. He said that it's a continuous process. So I got the feeling that it goes on even after death. I think he was trying to teach me as we went through these flashbacks. I think we'll read one more piece for today. Two more. One is from Seth, explaining the options that we have when we're in the after-death state. He says, they may, for example, become aware of their own reincarnational selves, recognizing quite readily personalities they knew in other lives, if those personalities are not otherwise engaged. They may deliberately now hallucinate, or they may relive certain portions of past lives if they choose. Then there is a period of self-examination, a rendering of account, so to speak, in which they are able to view their entire performance, their abilities, and their weak points, and to decide whether or not they will return to physical existence. Any given individual may experience any of these stages, you see, except for self-examination. Many may be step-sided, as we said. Since the emotions are so important, it is of great benefit if friends are waiting for you. In many instances, however, these friends have progressed to other stages of activity, and often a guide will take the guise of a friend, the form of a friend, for a while, so that you will feel more confident. The next piece I would like to read to you is the experience of a man named Walter Cowan, an American, who was a devotee, a student of Satya Sai Baba, who died in a hospital in India, and Sai Baba came and resurrected him. and he talks about the experience that he had while he was dead. While in the Connemara Hotel in Madras, 2 days after I arrived, I was taken very sick with pneumonia. As I grasped for breath, suddenly all the body struggle was over, and I died. I found myself very calm, in a state of wonderful bliss, and Sai Baba was by my side. Even though my body lay on the bed dead, my mind kept working through the entire period of time until Baba brought me back. There was no anxiety or fear, but a tremendous sense of well-being, for I had lost all fear of death. Then Baba took me to a very large hall, where there are hundreds of people milling around. This was the hall where the records of all my previous lives were kept. Baba and I stood before the court of justice. The person in charge knew Baba very well, and he asked for the records of all my lives. He was very kind, and I had the feeling that whatever was decided would be the best for my soul. The records were brought into the hall, armloads of scrolls, all of which seemed to be in different languages. As they were read, Baba interpreted them to me. In the beginning they told of countries that have not existed for thousands of years, and I could not recall them. When they reached the time of King David, the reading of my lives became more exciting. I could hardly believe how great I apparently was in each lifetime that followed. As the reading of my lives continued, it seemed that what really counted were my motives and character. Motives and character. As I stood for outstanding, peaceful, spiritual, and political activity. I do not remember all the names, but I am included in almost all of the history books of the world from the beginning of time. As I incarnated in different countries, I carried out my mission, which is peace and spirituality. After about 2 hours, they finished reading the scrolls, and Sai Baba said that I had not completed the work that I had born to do, and asked the judge that I be turned over to him to complete my mission of spreading the truth. He requested that my soul be returned to my body under his grace. The judge said, so be it. The case was dismissed, and I left with Baba to return to my body. I hesitated to leave this wonderful bliss. I looked into my body, and I thought it would be like stepping into a cesspool to return into it. But I knew that it was the best to complete my mission so that I could eventually merge with God. So I stepped back into my body, and that very instant it started all over again, trying to get my breath, being as sick as you could be and still be alive. I opened my eyes and looked at my wife and said, you sure look beautiful in pink. Now, someone asked Sai Baba if this experience was a true experience. Baba answers, the experience was a real experience, not an illusion. It was an experience, however, occurring in Mr. Cowan's mind, and I myself was there directing and clarifying the thoughts. And when he was asked, will everyone have this experience? It is not necessarily so. Some may have similar experiences, some may not. So we experience this body, we experience the examination, but the way in which we'll experience the examination, whether it be through angels and demons, through a judge, through scrolls, through halls, through flashbacks, will depend on our own programmings. So the process is universal, but the way in which each person will experience this process is totally different and will depend on their programmings and thought forms to create a different way of going through this, to seeing what they have done in this life and then seeing what they have done in the previous lives in order to decide what to do.